Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The final week of Major 3 qualifiers is upon us. Vegas Legion have a legitimate chance of making winners bracket for the first time in their franchise history, but OpTic also need a good week as well going into their home major. Tough week to come, but Ghosty though giving quite a lot of credit to himself for the turnaround in Huke's performance so far in Major 3. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to discuss. Firstly, the Elite Stage 2 champions in North America from last night goes to Ulysses, Prolute, Dave Paddy and Johnny. Cool story for all these guys because of course Uli, like his entire team left him to go to join the league, Ghosty among them. Prolute was recently dropped by Vegas. Dave Paddy had his stint on Florida then was gone again. Dave Paddy is the absolute Challengers Reaper honestly, and joining last year was also on Paris Legion as they were then, and struggled to really find his groove in Challengers I think lately. So cool story for all these guys. But yeah, Dave Paddy man, like every time you drop this guy he'll just absolutely ultra fry in Challenges. And, hopefully he can earn his spot back at some point because I feel like he was somewhat harshly dealt with on the Florida team this season. Even Scrappy giving some credit here to Prolute and the guys. So, yeah, we'll see. It's just a tough league right now, and especially with teams like Los Angeles Guerrillas that did have money, not maybe doing much anymore, it just makes things even more challenging for these guys to try and find their spot back into the league. Doug's also giving it a go. I thought this was quite funny. I'll just try to share this on the full screen, actually, because, well, Doug turns on this guy cross-map, but it's like it's a slow-mo turn on. Like, I don't exactly know who this is on. Maybe it was on Yuli, but he turns on this guy and it takes like half an hour to get the kill, but fair play. He was having a good time. Standy also confirming he's a free agent for Challengers going into Dallas, so of course he's on Toronto's bench right now and looking for a new Challengers team. I know that Parasite, I mentioned it just yesterday, I think when Parasite's kind of retired from competing again, but I know that Parasite was trying to get in bed with Standy, not in that way, but in trying to get him on a team together, and maybe Haggy's like, look, well if you want a team then I'm down and let's run it back or whatever. So we'll see on that front. Speaking of Parasite, I saw this tweet as well last night. The fact is, there's quite a few issues with this game. Yes, ranked players doing well. Yes, there's some other positive signs, but still, Slasher, despite winning the most recent event, still isn't happy with many things. Even I thought this is quite interesting for Parasite. Control and potentially the worst map mode combinations of all time. So yeah, not happy with Control as a game mode, not happy with the map modes we have, and nothing new really coming anytime soon. By the time anything new does arrive into the game, it's probably going to be like Major 4, Major 5 champs time, where you're probably not going to want to change too much the rotation, because I mean yeah, you can change the map set when you're mid-season, but changing the map set an event before the World Championship, probably not going to cut it. So we might just be stuck with this until the end of the season, unfortunately. But it's more entertaining and better to play than I think I expected it to be honest, this year. Let's talk OpTic though. So this I thought was kind of crazy. OpTic Gaming roster breakdown during the last almost the last decade. So between 2014 and 2018 they won 18 championships and they had very few changes at all. Nadeshot retired, Karma came in, Karma had to get, Enable had to come in briefly before Karma could get his visa sorted, and then Karma was there for the next 4 years. They won an awful lot. Since then, when Karma retired, and then all the OpTic drama happened when it became OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, right? This was during the Black Ops 4 days, but even after that, when everything happened with OpTic Chicago and Chicago Huntsman and all this drama, to be fair, a lot of the changes during this period after the Dynasty broke up were kind of expected. I think it's really the more recent stuff, like it's this past season where things go kind of insane. With iLLeY going to the starting team, then getting dropped, then Dashy's dropped, then iLLeY's picked back up, then Dashy's back up, then Dashy's benched, then Huke is in, then Scump retires, then iLLeY's dropped again. Like, it's been absolute madness these last few months dropping, but Ghosty is now in the starting team, and looking at all these changes over the last 5 years compared to the changes over the Dynasty period, how many more changes are to come? We know that Hex, what he said on the process, that he's trying to find long-term franchise pieces, and he's found those long-term franchise pieces, right? They are Dashy, he's made that very clear, and they are Shotzzy, right? Whether that's Huke and Ghosty, we'll see. That's the question down the line, but Ghosty is definitely giving himself a lot of credit, and maybe understandably, for the turnaround in part of their team's performance so far, and just looking at the optimism that Ghosty has for the future, because of course it was Dashy and Shotzzy in a way that made the call to pick Ghosty up. There was no general manager that made the decision to finally pick up a Challengers player that OpTic have never really done in their history. And yes, they consulted Fellow and Parasite to get their opinion on Ghosty and whether they should sign him, and Ghosty makes a statement in this really great interview that Ant Stonelake did for Esports GG. I have no interest in looking cool, I'm interested in winning. So this is a greater interview, there's a lot to be said about this, but I'll just mention a few quotes here that I thought were interesting, saying that he wants to go down as one of the greats. To achieve that, he's got to win at least one world championship and win a lot outside of that. I just want to win at the end of the day, want to go down as one of the best Call of Duty players, and don't want to lose sight of that goal. got no interest in looking cool on the map. I'm interested in winning. That's quite the statement from Ghosty, right? Because I know that when he joined the team, people were like, oh yeah, what are these guys stats in challenges, right? Is he good? Like, is he dropping 1.3s? Which he was in challenges. So far in the CDL, his numbers haven't been lights out like that, but it doesn't really matter if you're enabling the rest of your team to go off. So I think that's where Ghosty is. We know that he likes to sit in the hardpoint an awful lot and soak up the time that maybe one of their SMGs would have to do. We talked about this quite a bit with FaZe actually in their SMG lineup, the way that Simp is often sitting in the hill soaking up time, which is fine and they're winning events and stuff, but it's mainly been down to their search and destroy their winning events. Their hardpoint has been a bit sketchy. Maybe there's an argument to say you want your flex player or want someone of your ARs just soaking the hill time so your SMGs can go off and go rogue and do what they want, which is certainly what Shotzzy and Huke like to do, and Ghosty believes he's enabling them to do exactly that. So as he says, I thought was actually quite an interesting commentary, really. Everyone hyped this pickup of myself, in his shoes obviously, to be the traditional 4 superstar OpTic roster. But Ghosty doesn't really see it like that. He says instead of being the superstar, I have to be the facilitator in the comms, and I have to enable them the best that I can. I know in the back of my head that if my teammates are at 100%, I can be at 10% and will still win every series. As long as I can do what I need to do and facilitate the team, we'll win. That's how I see it. It's that simple. And of course, he talked about the possibility of, you know, winning the World Championship, saying, okay, the percentages are low because everyone wants it and is playing well, but he's playing with Dashy, best shot in the game. And then multi-FPS players and champions in Huke and Shotzzy. The talent is there to make it happen, saying, okay, we don't really care about losing to Toronto because we've been frying. Everything's good over here. Good vibes, always giggling. They believe in me and trust me, which I think is very important because that might not have been the case with iLLeY towards the end of his tenure on the team over the last week. I don't really feel the pressure anymore. So yeah, pretty interesting from Ghosty, right? Because he's basically saying that going into this weekend, I think it's been kind of obvious with some of the players, Ghosty I think included, but also even with Beans, the first series they played in the league was, you know, maybe not their best series ever, right? They're going to be nervous. Their first match in the CDL with all the audience, especially for Ghosty playing for OpTic, and especially because he's going to be playing for OpTic in front of OpTic's home crowd in Texas, where they won the event last year. Like, that's a lot of pressure, right? Now, he says he doesn't feel the pressure anymore, which is certainly a positive sign. But this statement I thought was probably the most interesting of the bunch. He says, okay, if we looked uncomfortable against Toronto because they weren't dying, so, you know, the internet stuff, I guess, what Dashy was talking about the other day, people have been saying, though, that iLLeY, that being Huke, is super frying. But the thing is that I'm allowing iLLeY and Ant, that being Shotzzy, to do whatever they want on the map. Brandon also helps make my life easy, so we can continue to make our subs look like superstars. So this has been the question about this team, right? Because ever since Ghosty came in, it's been Dashy that individually hasn't been quite at the same level on average, but it's been Huke especially, but also Shotzzy to a certain extent, that have leveled up their game. Is this merely a coincidence, or is this, well, certainly not as far as Ghosty believes, right? Ghosty believes that he's effectively allowing iLLeY to do this because he can sit in the hardpoint, get the time, and allow them to do what they want on the map. And I do believe that giving them that freedom has opened them up a little bit to being more impactful and playing in the way they want to play. Because Huke and Shotzzy, they've been around for a long time and they've played together for a long time. They know how they want to work as an SMG duo. If Ghosty's allowing them to do that, then that's very, well, very positive for the team. Or do you guys think this is like a short-term phenomenon where they've not played, like the sample size isn't massive? Okay, like Huke's been great at Major 3, but they've played, what, 3 matches so far in Major 3? So, you know, it's not necessarily going to be a consistent trend. And if all of a sudden Shotzzy and Huke don't perform quite so well, then what does that mean for the ARs? Like, is Ghosty limiting Dashy in a way? I know that Aches has made that point, but, you know, he's Aches, so, you know, what can you say about that one, really? So, I just thought it was interesting, right, that he's giving him, he's obviously a confident guy, right, because he's giving himself the credit for unlocking Huke and Shotzzy to a certain extent, which might well be valid, but I think we're really going to see this during Major 3. I also wanted to share another clip from Ghosty on, well, he was playing 8, and he was getting really frustrated with the ping, and basically just, like, quit the game. And I know that people were commenting on this, saying, oh, you know, like, here he goes, Ghosty joins OpTic, gets the ego, gets the kind of diva mentality, he'll fit right in, but, you know, there's always different sides of the story on this stuff.
Not playing on this, bro.
We just did in a row, bro.
Bro, I'm running a sniper, like, I'm not playing.
No, chill, regain.
Bro, I'm not playing on triple their ping, man. It is not fair. Like, what the fuck is front, bro? I'm just ego chilling, bro. I'm not coming. I'm not coming.
I'll get hill.
Not coming, bro. One's one shot in P2, bro. Nah, alright, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No. No, like, just no. The answer is no.
Wait, the server is broken.
Bro, he is on half the ping of me. He is on half the ping of me, brother.
Yeah.
I am not playing on that. It's just, like, I peek and I'm just dead.
Yeah, Alex on 70.
I know. Like, what do you mean, bro?
I swear to
Like,
God, if I showed my POV right now, people would be laughing at my. I swear to God.
So OpTic play at New York Subliners tomorrow. The champions of Major 1. They play FaZe on Sunday. The champions, of course, of Major 2. I thought it was interesting to look at the Brian stats here when he looked at the overall records all time between OpTic and FaZe. Their 77th career matchup. That's remarkable to think about, really. Like, two real OG teams of Call of Duty Esports going back up, decade, really, at this point. But in terms of even recent memory, OpTic have generally got the better of them recently. It's 40-36 to OpTic right now. I'm guessing in Cold War, FaZe got the better of them, but more recently in Vanguard, and even so far in this game, OpTic I think they're 6-1 against them, OpTic versus FaZe in the last couple of years. But yeah, 40-36 for OpTic. Will FaZe get their win? Will OpTic make the season head-to-head 2-0 in their favour? We will have to see. Also, this comment I thought was interesting just because we know now that Cellium, at least last week, turned on the loudness equalization. FaZe were doing all this talk about, oh, they don't use it. It's the bottom 4 teams that are cheating using the loudness equalization, all this stuff. But Dashy kind of replied to Arcitys, so he's talking about the Astro, I guess, preset audio settings you can go for, and Dashy's like, oh yeah, I prefer the loudness equalization because that's superior to both of these in terms of hearing everything. So I don't necessarily think Dashy's saying, oh, I'm using it now. But it is interesting, right? Because if you're playing FaZe in a very important series and you know that Cellium is using it, which, well, he turned it on last week. We believe that got confirmed by Sasha. So if you know that Cellium's using it, would you just not use it for a very important series like that? I don't know, maybe you would just turn it on. Possibly, even though you can't use it on LAN. We'll see, but I thought an interesting question to keep your eyes on. Also, speaking of FaZe, this is their 11 S&D game win streak, kind of by the numbers here, starting with a couple against Boston when they went game 5 in a couple of these series. But, I mean, yeah, these are all the ones they've won. Lots of round 11 clutches in here, quite a few of them. Of course, one of which was at the Major, right, when they won that 6-5 aBeZy clutch to take them over the line to win that entire series. But versus OpTic this weekend is going to be big for them. So they're on the 11 win streak going into the OpTic series. Map 2 will potentially prove crucial in that particular series. One thing I thought was crazy when I saw this graphic come out from the CDL this morning was Vegas Legion Road to Winners bracket. This could be the first time in Legion's franchise history where they start in the winners bracket. Now, of course, way back in Modern Warfare, they didn't have the same format they have today. It came in Cold War, where we had the qualifiers going into the regular major type cycle. But ever since, in Cold War, of course, they were pretty bad. In Vanguard, it was next level terrible, and they never have ever made winners. So this is their chance. They're currently 1-2. They beat Los Angeles Thieves, and they lost to FaZe, and they lost to, I think, Toronto, I think. So, they've had a pretty rough go of things. But they play Rokkr and Guerrillas, both teams that I think don't have a win so far this stage. So Vegas have surely got to win one of these series. I think Vegas even have a positive record against Rokkr so far this season. So, I want to take them to win this series tonight, and if they do, they should be in winners bracket at the Major. I really want to, I want to see them there, right? Even if they don't do well at the Major, I don't really mind. Just seeing it, Vegas in winners, Legion in winners, would be a great story. And if it doesn't happen now, it's probably never going to happen, to be honest. These are the games, though, tonight. The Blow It Up Friday, here it is. We've got Ravens versus Surge. We've got Legion versus Rokkr, which is a very interesting series for that reason I just mentioned. The other series, not so much. Guerrillas Florida to close out the day. It's why is that going on? I'll have to find something else to watch, I think, for that one. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.